Hello YouTube and welcome to Synthetic Oil Info. My name is Tom Brown and in this video we're going to talk about AMSOIL's power steering fluid. Here's a shot of the bottle. It has to wrap around there a little bit. This 16-ounce bottle contains AMSOIL's synthetic power steering fluid, and you might wonder, why do I need synthetic power steering fluid? Well, the power steering fluid on your vehicle is usually one of the most neglected oils or fluids in your car. Most manufacturers don't really have a specified change or drain interval on the power steering fluid. It's just kind of one of those fluids that's expected to last the life of the car. Unfortunately, it doesn't. No oil will last forever, and power steering fluid is really just hydraulic oil because that's what your power steering is doing. It's providing hydraulic assistance to you as you turn the steering wheel. That pump, whether the pump is driven by the engine or whether it's an electronic pump like the new cars have with an electric motor driving that hydraulic pump, it just magnifies the efforts of your arms, and it forces those front tires to turn whichever direction you're turning the steering wheel. That fluid that's in that system, that hydraulic fluid or the power steering fluid as we're calling it here, accumulates water, and it accumulates dirt, and it accumulates wear material from the inside of the power steering system. Because you have a pump, you have hoses, and you normally have either a gearbox or a rack and pinion unit that has many different moving pieces inside of it. And all of those pieces eventually start to cast off wear material. And the seals and gaskets and everything else that hold all that oil inside the system have to remain pliable and remain healthy in order for your system to not leak oil. And that's usually what happens to especially rack and pinion units. You know, if you've had to replace the rack and pinion on your car or truck, it's usually because one of the seals that is holding all of the power steering fluid or hydraulic fluid inside of that unit fails. And when it fails, then the fluid leaks out in that spot, and then your power steering pump starts making noise. You hear cars driving down the road all the time where they have a really noisy power steering pump. Sometimes that's because their system is low on fluid, and that pump is sitting there running dry. And it won't do that very long. It'll fail on them, and then they won't have power steering at all. So AMSOIL developed this power steering fluid a few years ago to try to help address those problems as people started keeping their cars longer and longer, and they started going to more electronic power steering, more rack and pinion steering. These more complicated and higher technology systems put an even greater stress and strain on the fluid. And so AMSOIL recommends that either in accordance with your vehicle manufacturer recommendations or talk to your mechanic or take a look at that fluid yourself. When that fluid starts to get dirty or it has a lot of water in it, then it's time to do a change. The advantage of the AMSOIL power steering fluid over a conventional power steering fluid is that it is a synthetic, and so it does have a much broader temperature range where it is going to remain of the same or near the same viscosity, so that your power steering system works like you expect it to work, even in the coldest temperatures or on the hottest days. And where you would notice that the most is if you live in a climate where it gets really cold, say down below zero, and you go out there and your car's been sitting outside all night, and you start up the engine and you get ready to back away, and you feel, wow, my power steering or my steering wheel seems like it is so much harder to turn than it normally is. Well, that's because that conventional power steering fluid or hydraulic fluid that is in your power steering system didn't respond to that cold weather very well the night before, and it got really thick. And so now that oil that fluid that's in your system has to warm up before it can return to its normal viscosity, and which will allow it to flow through your power steering system like it is supposed to. So if you will run a synthetic power steering fluid instead, then the temperature range that your system can withstand before you start having any of those steering problems is much broader. Also, a synthetic power steering fluid or synthetic hydraulic fluid, however you want to look at it, is going to protect your seals and gaskets inside that system for much longer, and they're going to remain pliable and nice and rubbery or whatever they're made out of for much longer, and they will not leak as some of the other seals will do with conventional fluid. So there is a reason to do this, both from a maintenance perspective to get the water out of that system. There is a comfort perspective, so that your system provides you with the power steering boost or assist that you expect. So lots of reasons there to go ahead and take care of that power steering system, even if your vehicle manufacturer doesn't call for a routine maintenance of that system. You need to take a look at it every once in a while and change out that fluid as it gets dirty or contaminated with water or wear materials. These systems don't hold very much oil. Usually somewhere between 1 to 2 bottles will completely change out a system. And if you have a rack and pinion failure or a gearbox failure or a pump failure, that would also be the perfect time to go ahead and replace all of that fluid that is in there, the old fluid, with a new synthetic fluid. So even if you have a failure, that's the time to do it. That way you won't have as many of those failures in the future. You can order this from our website, MinutemanPerformance.com. That'll link you right to the AMSOIL corporate website where you can place your order. Our email address is info@MinutemanPerformance.com. Please like us on Facebook. We are at Synthetic Oil Info, and please subscribe to our channel here on YouTube, also under Synthetic Oil Info. Again, we are our website is MinutemanPerformance.com. Email is info@MinutemanPerformance.com. And if you're going to order more than $100 worth of products a year, please look at becoming a preferred customer of AMSOIL. You can add that preferred customer membership, either 6 months or 12 months, right to your shopping cart when you check out on the AMSOIL website. That will save you about 20% even off that first order and off of any future orders, to include AMSOIL's 2 other product lines, which is the Agran fertilizer line and the Altrum vitamin line. So if you have a preferred customer membership, you can save that 20% about on all 3 major product lines of AMSOIL. So please take a look at that. And that's it for now on this video. We will see you on the next one. Take care. Have a great day.